So let's look at our three-step process on one of our third grade math lessons. So our step one is our problem-based learning. This is where we're going to engage and explore our students. We call this our solve and share. If you will look right here, it shows us what to do before, during, and after a lesson. So if you're not sure what questions to ask or how to get started, if you will just refer to your teacher's edition, it will show you exactly what to do right here. There are some instances where it will even tell you what a student's response should be, and if there are any misconceptions, what you can do to address that. So when you first start, you start with your whole class. You introduce it, check for understanding, ask some guiding questions. The students can either have their print materials here, or you can also assign online practice on our digital component. So you can see right here, same thing, step one, problem-based learning. This is our solve and share. If I open it up so you can see, it's going to have what the students see on the print, but they will just be able to look at it on their computers also. So either way, whichever you are more comfortable with, if you want to do print, digital, or a combination of both of them, just depending on what your students need. So after you've done your initial introduction, you're going to have your small group. You're going to observe how students are working. Let them work together. At this point, you don't want them doing this on their own. They should be working together during this initial solve and share problem. After you've given them about 10 to 15 minutes, that's about the longest you want to spend, 15 at the most, then you're going to have a classroom discussion to see what solution strategies your students had and what they came up with. So during step one, again, just to kind of recap, you as the teacher should be facilitating whole class discussion, walk around the room, support any productive struggling that you see, observe students at work, ask some guiding questions, and get anything out of them if they're struggling, get their thinking going, and see what strategies they can come up with. Students right now should be working with partners or in a small group, engaging in the problem solving, and sharing and comparing their solution strategies. Then we are going to move to step two. Step two is our visual learning. It should take about 20 to 30 minutes. This is where you're going to explain whatever math concept you are working on. Again, we are working on the distributive property. So we have our visual learning bridge here. You're going to start with a classroom conversation. You want to get their minds thinking. A good way to do that is you might just say, close your eyes. Here's a little scenario. What should we do with this? Kind of get them going. You want to start that conversation. Students, again, can have their print materials that you see right here, or you can go back and assign them on the digital component. For step two on the digital component, it will give them a little video. This video, actually, what it will do is it's going to go through and read this right here. So all of this content, Maria wants to set up 7 rows of 4 chairs for a meeting. It will go through and read that for the students. So that's what this video is. You can always, on your teacher side, click here, whatever the title is, and it will open up and it will show you what your students are going to see before you actually assign it. So you can see here, we have our Visual Learning Animation Plus, and it's going to just go through and give us those steps that is on that printed material.
4 chairs for a meeting.
So again, whichever way you are more comfortable with, whatever best fits the needs of your students. If you want to do print, digital, or both, step two also has both. So again, classroom conversation, it gives you what to start with if you're not sure on what questions to ask. If there are any misconceptions that have already been identified with whatever strategy you are trying to teach, You will see a prevent misconceptions. That way you can check students' understanding and make sure that they're not falling into this category. Then you have the convince me part. On the convince me, this is where students are going to work and answer a problem here that goes along with whatever they talked about up here at the top. At the bottom of your teacher's guide on step 2, you do have additional strategies for English language learners. Here's listening for this one, what they should be doing if they are just entering, emerging, developing. It gives you all sorts of strategies that you might need. Step 2 also includes your guided independent practice and problem solving for your students. Again, you can see up here, this is all available online. Back at your Savas Realize, same place as all the others. Right underneath that step 2 visual learning where the video and convince me, then you have your practice and problem solving, and you have a few different options that you can choose. Your guided practice, your students on here, you should have them working together, again in partners or with a group through the guided practice. You want them working independently once they hit this independent practice. So let them work together on the guided practice. Independent and problem solving, they should be working on their own on this one. During step 2, you will be asking the guided questions up there in the blue that we talked about. Any ideas students may not understand, so these ideas up here, any misconceptions, you are addressing those. Students are working to demonstrate they understand on the convince me, and then they're going to move into their guided independent practice and their problem solving. Now you'll notice here there are some check marks. This is how you're going to transition into your assess and differentiation. So you can see right here the quick check, it tells you on items 5 and 17, if they get them, they get a point. 16 and up, they get 3 points each. That's just kind of a little formative assessment, just really quick, where you can check over and see possibly where they might need some intervention. So as we move to step 3, assess and differentiate, this one probably should take about 15 to 30 minutes, again, just depending on your students and their needs. So using that quick check we talked about, you can see that if they have 0 to 3 points, they're going to need an intervention activity. All of the intervention activities are denoted with an I, so you can see here's some materials you're going to have to get out and actually work with the students, have them use manipulatives to intervene because they're not getting this concept. The math tools on our technology center, again, our digital components, has all 3 levels, our intervention, our on level, and our advanced. Then we also have more print materials if you need to use that. Here is our intervention again to reteach and build. If you have intervention and on level, you can use this one here, build mathematical literacy. And then we also have enrichment, again, both for our on level and those that are advanced. All of these, again, can be found online. I'm going to scroll down here to our assess and differentiate. And then you have multiple options here online if you would rather have your students solve these problems online. And that is just a real quick walkthrough of our 1, 2, and 3 steps of our Envision Math.